And we're back. Welcome back to the Back to School series. In today's video, we're going to answer the question, what is a kinesthetic learner? And I'm also going to go over some kinesthetic learning style tips. Now, listen, I love this video series. If you guys have been enjoying it so far, let me know in the comments because I'm excited. But as always, if you're here, you're interested, so let's get into it. So first things first, what is a kinesthetic learner? Kinesthetic learners, sometimes called tactile learners, make up the highest percentage of students in schools in the United States. They learn through experiencing or doing things. They enjoy that hands-on experience. They like to get involved by acting out events or using their hands to touch and handle things in order to understand and learn concepts. They are usually more in touch and connected to reality as well, which is why they prefer using tactile experiences to understand things better. These types of learners might struggle to sit still and often excel at sports, and they like to dance. They also may need to take more frequent breaks when studying. Once kinesthetic learners can physically sense what they're studying, abstract ideas and difficult concepts become easier to them to understand. The best way to present new information to a kinesthetic learner is through personal experience, practice, examples, or simulations. So these are the people who like video games too. They don't need to hear and see the lesson, but they actually need to do the things themselves. Okay, they need to experiment with the concepts and see how it works in order to get a full understanding. They're usually very helpful too. It is often the kinesthetic learner who has the most difficulty in traditional classroom environments, where the majority of the day seems to be based off of activities that cater primarily to visual and auditory learners. That being said, most people have a dominant learning style, but are usually very capable of absorbing information through the other types of learning styles and may benefit greatly from combining the different approaches. Let's get into the strengths of kinesthetic learners. These are including but not limited to what's in my list. So having excellent motor skills, right? They can duplicate something after doing it once, which is why science experiments can come easy to them, right? They're good at building models and doing dioramas to explain concepts. They're good at performing arts like drama and acting. They work well with others. They have high levels of energy. So these are the kids who you see involved in sports. They have great hand-eye coordination and agility. They have quick reaction times, and they also have very awesome timing. Okay. Now, before we get into kinesthetic learning strategies, let me know in the comments below if you or your child is a kinesthetic learner based on these strengths. Okay, I'm excited to find out what categories my viewers are in, so please let me know in the comments. Now, if some or all of these strengths don't sound quite right to you, you might have one of these other learning preferences, so feel free to skip ahead and go back to the Back to School playlist and find the video that's right for you. Because remember, finding your learning style as well as your child's learning style is a critical step in making learning easier, more accessible, and more effective for you and your child on your learning journey. Now, let's get into some of the best practices for you kinesthetic learners. The first tip I absolutely love. Stand up instead of sitting down. Sitting for extended period of time is bad for your health anyway, and we kind of already know that from all the health people. But did you know that as a kinesthetic learner, standing up will improve your comprehension and retention? Yup. When you stand up, your body is more engaged and connected to the learning process. Yeah. It's a thing. I didn't even know until I was reading this, right? Investing in a book stand or a standing desk may help you concentrate for longer periods of time and remember more of what you read. I put a few options in the description box below for some of the things that I use or have used, or that I actually refer to some of the other parents that I know. Okay. The next tip is it's okay to fidget. Yeah, the society wants everybody to just sit still and focus. And we don't do that. We don't do that very well, okay? I'm a kinesthetic learner. I can sit still, but I'm doing like 50 things. I'm crossing my legs and swinging my feet. And listen, okay, it's okay to fidget, bounce your leg, or doodle during lectures, okay? You will get more out of the lesson in class if you can move around just a little bit. And when I say doodle, I don't mean start a full-fledged Picasso. I mean just a few sketches. That's okay. And please make sure not to disturb the other students. Utilize small movements. It's not always possible to stand up and exercise during a study session or class, but you can still use small movements to keep yourself engaged. Having a fidget spinner or twisting a rubber band around your wrist or around a pencil while you read can be beneficial. Remember, even if the movements are small, they can help you stay focused and attentive. Next, try a tense and release exercise. When you're in a study situation that truly limits your ability to move, use a tense and release exercise to stay focused. It involves what you do is in intervals of about 5 to 10 seconds, you can squeeze something like a stress ball. And then after that 5 to 10 seconds is over, you go ahead and release it. This technique helps you release any unwanted tension, which sometimes kinesthetic learners experience during idle times. Like when you're forced to sit still, you still need to move. Like your body is just wired that way. So do it, but do it in a very discreet way, okay? The next tip is going to be complete relative tasks during class. Filling out worksheets or taking notes, or ask if you can perform movement-oriented tasks before and after lectures or long videos. Ask about things like handing out worksheets or the laptops, writing on chalkboards, or even rearranging the desk for like activities. All of these things can be helpful to you because they allow you to get up and move around. The next tip is going to be combine your study session with exercise. Instead of sitting on the couch and writing your notes, right? Get up and move around. Do jumping jacks in between chapters or something, okay? It's good, it's useful, it's helpful for you to get up and move. Next, break homework sessions up into smaller chunks and move quickly from one activity to the next. I have an entire video dedicated to something called the Pomodoro technique, and this is to show you exactly how to do this. If you need this technique, go over to that video. This is one of my favorite study techniques, and it's very helpful to all of the kinesthetic learners. It's actually helpful for all learning styles because it gives you the break that your brain needs. I'll make sure to drop the link to that video in the description box below. It's also in the playlist. Next, create your own color coding system. Use a pen or a pencil or a highlighter or underline like important vocabulary terms or concepts while you read. Highlight and color code passages to connect one another, right? Use a pencil to draw flowcharts that help break down passages into smaller pieces. Sticky notes, they're your friend. So sticky notes that show you like main ideas or some of your own inferences, that can be helpful. There's a video for this too. I'll make sure to put it in the description box. I created it with visual kinesthetic and reading writing learners in mind, so you guys will be able to follow along just fine. The last tip is going to be get creative. If a topic has become difficult for you, approach it from another angle. Use materials that you can manipulate like blocks or figures to visualize a battle scene or explore mathematical concepts. Draw pictures about the topic that you're learning, or design a video or storyboard explaining the ideas to somebody else so that you can see if they understand it too. Drawing is okay. You have excellent motor memory. It's more likely for you to remember something you build rather than something you read. So get creative. Now, these next few tips are for my parents. Parents, if you are working with a kinesthetic learner, here are some tips you can use to help them in school and communicate more efficiently with them. The first tip is going to be the best way to help these students learn is by getting them moving. Instruct your kinesthetic learners to act out a certain scene from a book or a lesson that they're learning. Also, try to encourage them to incorporate movement in their lesson. Pacing helps them memorize. You can read while you're going on walks. Learning games that involve moving around the room or having students write things out as part of an activity. Just getting involved as opposed to just sitting there is going to be very useful. The next tip is going to be provide a stress ball or fidget spinner for them. If they can hold on to something that gives them the ability to do small movements as opposed to sitting completely still at a table while they're doing work, they're going to benefit and retain that information better because they're able to focus. As parents, we think that when we see our kids fidgeting and things like that, if they're kinesthetic learners, that they're not paying attention. They're actually using that kinesthetic ability to focus on what they're doing. The other action and motion that's happening with them in the background is so that they can focus. So provide them with a stress ball or a fidget spinner. Next, keep scratch paper around for them to doodle on while they're listening to different audios and things like that. It's going to be helpful when they have to sit for long periods of time. It's difficult. Okay. Next, cook with them. Put them to work. My son started cooking when he was 10. Not really chopping up vegetables and stuff, but helping to mix things and things like that in the kitchen. Get them involved in family meals. It's definitely gonna create that you time that you want with your kid, but it's beneficial for the learning process for them as well. Next, visiting or allowing them to visit nearby parks or playgrounds frequently is gonna be very beneficial. They have a lot of energy, so encourage them to use it. Instead of telling them to go to their rooms when their behavior seems to be a little bit off, maybe consider telling them to go outside, right? Trust me, it works because they have that extra energy. That's probably why they got in trouble in the first place. The next tip is going to be create a study space with different shapes, textures, and environments. So an example of that would be a hard chair, a bean bag, and a floor mat. Different places in the room that they can sit. So if you're practicing the Pomodoro method, they can go from sitting in one place to sitting in the other place to sitting in the other place, and that's going to be beneficial for them as well. Next, create a break-free zone. And what I mean is a space in your home where tumbling, kicking, jumping, spinning around is all okay. There are no breakable items in that area, so there are no worries. This will help those kids on those rainy days or on those snow days when they just can't get out. They have a lot of energy, okay? The next tip is going to be remember that kinesthetic learners need to move their bodies in order to learn. Speak with their teachers to find out what's acceptable. These students are often called fidgety, and some teachers might interpret their behavior as being distracted or bored. A kinesthetic learner's movement does not imply a lack of attention. In fact, it means that they're trying to process information in the most effective way possible. So as a parent, I would definitely recommend reaching out to a teacher or all of their teachers to ask and to see if your child could be allowed a stress ball at least, or be allowed to stand if they need to during class without it being seen as being rude or a interruption. As long as your child knows to kind of do these things quietly, I think that should be okay. So as a parent, please ask. The last tip for you is going to be let them teach you the material. It's true that if you can't explain something clearly to someone else, you don't understand it yet. Have them spend time reviewing the material, just like the memorable chunks of it, and then try to explain it clearly to you. If you're not available, that's fine. Encourage them to at least say it out loud to themselves. Like I said in one of the other videos, one of the things that they could do is hop on Zoom, record, and listen to it back. Pull out their phone, record, and listen to it back. For them though, the video version is always going to be better. This strategy doesn't work if they're just thinking about it. They actually have to say it out loud though, okay? So listen, kinesthetic learners are awesome little busybodies, but if you give their bodies something to do, their attention will be on you. Yup, I made a rhyme. Please make sure you watch the videos for both you and your child's primary and secondary learning style. and then dive into the different study techniques. If you found this video first, it's very important that you and your child take the learning quizzes. So head over to the first video in this series, and all of the information that you need is going to be in the description. The playlist is over here. I am a kinesthetic auditory learner who doesn't mind visual aids. So you can be in multiple categories at the same time, and that's awesome too. Don't forget that I dropped a few links to some helpful tools in the description box for you. And then, listen, just remember, here's the playlist. It's here for you. If you found value, please consider sharing the information in the video with your friends. I love that. The algorithm loves that. Please help a sister out. If you have a suggestion for me, feel free to drop that in the comments. Let me know. But I hope you're having an absolutely amazing morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.